Hey everybody, today we're going to learn how to do a really nutritious, healthy meal, hors d'oeuvre, snack idea that is extremely inexpensive. But it's also something you find at really expensive restaurants. You can go to a restaurant and actually buy a dish of this for like, I've seen it, 70, 80 bucks even for some real fancy places. But we are going to do roasted bone marrow. And I'm going to show you how I would have done it in the truck. So you could do this in the oven, or if you have a multi-cooker like a Ninja, you could do it in there. And to an extent, you could do it in a instant pot if it's just the pressure cooker. So what I have here is I got some bone marrow, and you can get these cut in a couple of different ways. These are marrow bones, and you can find them as like soup bones inside the supermarket, or dog bones. So they're going to be cut in a couple of different ways. This one, it happens to be a femur bone that's been cut into sections like this, but sometimes they take the bone and they split it in half long ways and open it up, so it will the marrow will kind of be served like a boat. We're going to use this method today. What you want to do is you want to take some good quality salt. Today we have some Redmond salt that's been smoked. So Redmond's real salt's really awesome stuff. And we want to one of two things. You're going to either want to brine this overnight, or you're going to want to do a quick brine. We're going to do a quick brine. So I have some boiling water. We're going to pour it over. We've salted the bones really, really well. Probably about 2 tablespoons worth of salt. And I'm going to make sure they get covered with boiling water. And what you want to do is you want to get them in this water, and you'll start to see the marrow inside the bones start to turn like an opaque white. You get the boiling water on there and you leave it to sit for about 10 minutes, okay? So the water, what's going to happen with the water is it's going to help pull out like the excess blood and things like that kind of can give the marrow a funky taste. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to get our Ninja ready. I want to impart some good flavor into the bone marrow. You can do this as simple as you want with just some butter, or you can add a little bit of flavor to it. So I'm going to add some flavor. I have my Ninja here, and I'm going to hit the saute mode. So let me turn it on. We're going to add, this is going to impart some flavor, keep things from sticking. What's nice about these Ninjas, if you watch my video on it, is they got this really nice ceramic lined inner pot, so it helps keep things from sticking. But I still like to use a little butter, because when we put the bone into the Instant Pot, we're going to brown it up a little bit before we roast it. All right, so I've got a little bit of butter there. Now, to add some flavor to this, I'm going to add some vegetable. And you could add a number of things. And typical, little garlic and onion. I've actually got some leftover parsley in here, some leftover celery that I chopped up. Kind of think about it the same way you would do like a bone broth. And I'm going to throw these in here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to saute this. And what this is going to do is when I cook my bones in there, it's going to impart some flavor to it. But when I'm done with the bones, there's going to be all this leftover juice that's going to be in here. And I'm going to turn that into a nice little sauce in order to dip our bread into. And yes, I said bread. This is keto, I know. But what we got special bread. So typically with bone marrow at a really fancy smancy restaurant, you are going to get it served with crostinis. And essentially what that is a little bit of a pan toasted bread with some butter and some garlic cloves smeared on it. What we're going to use is we got Fox Hill buns, and these are the bagel holes. So what we're going to do is make it kind of a little appetizer style. These things are really cool. And we'll just take a bunch of these buns and serve the bone marrow with these little bagel holes right here, cut in half so it's a little finger food. So you take your spoon, dip into the bone marrow, spread it onto your little Fox Hill bagel hole. So this is sauté, and when this gets all soft and translucent, we will come back to the video, and I'm gonna add a pinch of salt to help it along a bit, but we'll come back and I'll show you how to do the bones. Hey everybody, we are back, and I've got my vegetable matter sauteed up here, give a little flavor to the bones. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to take the bones out of the brine here. They've been marinating for probably about a half hour, and I'm going to go ahead and sear. I still have the heat on high, and there's still some butter in here, and I am going to sear each side of the bone before I actually roast them. And what this is going to do is this is going to impart some real nice flavor to your bone marrow. So if you see the bone, there's actually some meat still attached to the bone. If you want to, you can take the backside of a knife and clean that up. Frankly, that's more work than I want to do. So, and I don't mind a little meat with my bone marrow. So I am going to just go ahead and set these in here. Now, you can do this whole process in an oven if you want to, and that's kind of the traditional way of doing it. Obviously, the Ninja is not so traditional, but you can do this right in an oven. And I suggest if you do it, use a cast iron skillet or a oven safe skillet. I prefer cast iron. It's just durable, plus it's, you know, cast iron. So everything that I'm doing here, you could actually do on the stovetop. You can saute your vegetables, put the butter in the cast iron, and then go ahead and saute go ahead and sear the bones up. And then preheat your oven to about, depending on the size of your bones, about 350 to 400 degrees. And you're going to cook it for each side for about 20 minutes. Or until things get soft. Basically, when the bone marrow is at the point where you can stick a spoon into it and it's super soft and like butter, then you're done. And the bones are going to take slightly a different amount of time to cook based on the size of them and how they're cut. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm flipping these bones over now, and I'm going to brown the other sides of them, and I'm going to pull one out after I get them all flipped over. I'm going to pull one out and show you what we're looking at doing here. So I got a piece of bone, and you see how it's starting to brown right there on the top? That's what you want. You want to get that nice and browned on each side. And it's just going to add a little bit of a real nice flavor to the bones when you start to roast them. So that's going to take a couple of minutes. Now, you can serve these if you want to make some cloud bread, or if you want to make some savory chaffles. Those are all fine if you want to stay keto. Another great way to have bone broth or bone marrow is actually on some vegetables. You can slice up some vegetables like cucumber or some zucchini and have that make it into like a zucchini boat type thing. But I recommend, I really do, the foxtail buns, because that's like real bread, basically. And it's made with nut flour, so you don't have any gluten or anything like that. Now, the other thing you'll often see bone marrow served with is a little bit of like a green salad type thing on top. And usually it's some sort of microgreen with some onions, some garlic, a little bit of lemon juice, possibly some green onions on there. So I mixed up a little bit of that to serve later. And all I did was dice up just a bit of onion, and mine has some parsley, some garlic, and some celery. And I chopped up the celery leaves to throw in here. And then it was some salt, pepper, olive oil, and a bit of lemon juice. And that's it. So when you serve it, to cut down on the richness, what you'll do is you'll scoop out some of the bone marrow with your spoon, spread it on your toast or whatever you're going to be having it with, and then just add a little bit of the salad on top. All right, so I've got it looks like the tops and the bottoms are getting nice and browned here. And I can start seeing a little bit of white happening around the edges of the bones. And that's what you want. That bone's starting to cook. It'll start to soften. When you initially get the bones are the marrow inside is going to be very hard. But when you cook it, it's going to soften up really nice. Another great thing that you could add bone marrow to after you roasted it, you could actually take it, scoop it out, and hold it in a freezer or something. Add it to sauces, like a pasta sauce or something, and you can get a really nice flavor going with the pasta sauce. It'll just kind of disintegrate in there, but it'll add a nice richness, meatiness to the sauce. All right, I am going to go ahead and add back in my veggies. And I'm just kind of spreading them around, topping a little bit of the veggies on top of each one of my marrow bones, so that as it cooks and as it roasts, that flavor kind of will seep down inside the bone marrow. So each little piece of bone marrow is going to have just a little bit of veggie on there, and then there's going to be some down at the base. All right, and because this is essentially an air fryer and it cooks with dry air, I am going to add just a couple of tablespoons of water to keep things from burning. And we're going to switch this over to, and I'm going to come back and actually check this in about 10 minutes to see where it's going. Because of the fact that I'm using bones that are different sizes and stuff, I just want to make sure that I'm not overcooking one side of the bones. If I see the side getting really done on one side, after 10 minutes I'll flip it. If not, I'll carry them to about 15 minutes and then flip them. And then I will check then after the 20 minutes is up and see how soft they are. And what you want to do is you want to take a little spoon when you're checking it and dip it inside the center of the bone marrow to see if it becomes like this nice buttery soft texture. All right, we'll see you when we come back. Hey everybody, we are back, and I've got my bones here and I'm gonna check them. I've got a spoon here, and all I'm doing with the spoon is sticking the spoon in and see if the marrow inside the bones is soft. And it really is. It's almost like butter. So I'm going to take the bones out. I'm going to plate them up here. There we Go. There we go, some nice roasted bones. There's still some more in there. You want to serve these hot. Bone marrow does not taste the best when it's cold. I am going to go ahead and just scoop some of this nice saucy, oily deliciousness all over the bones themselves. And that's going to also give you something to sop up with your, if you're using some sort of keto bread like the Fox Hill, it'll give you something to sop up the with the buns and have some nice flavor to your toast. Okay. And just to make it pretty, I'm going to go ahead and toss a little greenage on there. All right. And check that out. We have roasted bone marrow. Very easy. And honestly, they would probably charge you an arm and a leg for this at any kind of fancy restaurant. But you don't have to pay that much, because you can even get some quality bones from your local butcher or grocery store for very little money. And if you go directly to a cattle producer, they often have a bunch of bones left over. All right, everybody, so that's some awesomeness right there. And make sure you check the links below, because we have a nice discount going with Fox Hill and with Redmond, so you can get some quality salt and some great either bread mix or some buns or some bagel holes or some awesome bagels. It's great stuff. And also check out the video we did. We actually did a tour of Julie's bakery in Vermont, and it was a pretty cool little tour. It's a small operation, so definitely throw her some support. See you later.